Welcome to today's webinar. The topic for today is Make an Impression, Senior Living Design Trends. My name is Megan Klein and I will facilitate our meeting. Please note, the information contained in this presentation is intended to provide general information, but not advice about certain regulations and initiatives. This is not intended as legal or other advice, and each situation may vary depending on the particular facts and circumstances. You should not act upon this information without first consulting qualified legal counsel. Today's webinar on design trends in senior living will be presented by Heather Furness and James Jansen. Heather is a design consultant with Direct Supply. She has 5 years of experience in senior living design. In her role, Heather helps design new spaces ranging from single-room consultations to full building renovations and new construction projects. She strives to help each client efficiently achieve their design goals by understanding the functional and aesthetic requirements of the communities. Heather's ability to adapt and her strong attention to detail help her align with clients' needs. James is a Technology Solutions Product Manager for Direct Supply. He has 8 years of experience in senior living technology. In his role, James curates and brings to market Direct Supply's portfolio of building-level staff and resident monitoring systems, everyday tech, and electronic solutions. Using a combination of in-market and emerging technologies, James strives to create a better technology experience for senior living operators, staff, residents, and family members to help communities improve marketability, reduce manual and time-consuming tasks, and gain better insight into care activities. His ability to appropriately apply technology from various sources helps him achieve goals and deliver better outcomes. And now, please welcome Heather and James.
Thank you, Megan. We will jump right in. Our design team gets asked all the time what the latest trends are in senior living design, and we've collected some of our favorites that are forward-thinking and reflective of the changing senior population. The first trend is around hospitality elements, how to elevate spaces to have high-impact visuals and lasting first impressions. Locally inspired design is another trend becoming increasingly more popular. This is one of my favorites because I think it's so personal and special, and really it's something that's attainable in some form for almost everyone. Color trends will review both how to use color in senior living design, as well as some color palette forecasting. This is always a super fun topic, so I'm really excited to get into that as well. The dining experience. We have a lot of great ideas in regards to elevating the traditional type of dining model to bring in a concierge experience and also offer choice for residents. Designing for staff. How can we promote wellness and retention through the built environment while striving to make their jobs easier? And lastly, tech forward, approaches for incorporating technology into spaces. Our first trend is around hospitality elements. One of the biggest elements of hospitality design is creating strong first impressions. As we know, the lobby space often serves as the hub for residents, guests, visitors to gather. And with that, we have a huge opportunity to create mixed-use spaces that are both inviting and functional and really represent how we want our community to be viewed. Building materials and architectural details are most often the foundation of the space. Sometimes we have the ability to add or change these details, and other times we're limited with how we can edit a space from this perspective. That being said, there are ways that we can enhance the foundation to create a layered environment that stands out from the crowd. A great way to do this is to think about the architectural details that are already present within the space and how they can be enhanced and purposely played up as a visual element. Or if you have a new building, a new construction project, what details can be added to create these strong impressions? Are there things that you can bring into the construction process that are going to have a big impact? If you already have beautiful large windows, like was shown in the previous photo, maybe it's a grand fireplace, like is shown on this slide. Tall ceilings, unique ceiling beams. How can you draw attention to those items? Perhaps you want to add paneling or a fun accent color to your ceiling. Or maybe you want to wrap your ceiling beams in a faux wood wall covering, something that's going to draw the eye upwards. Large windows often serve as the backdrop of the space and can really set the mood. Tall ceilings. If you have tall ceilings, can they be reinforced with dramatic drapery panels that add texture and color and pattern? Maybe you want to add molding detail or an oversized artwork installation that fills a double height wall. Once you have your focal accent walls or areas, you can anchor soft seating or other types of furniture groupings around them to reinforce that drama of the feature area. This image on the screen here provides really a great example of striking architectural features. Front of house spaces like the lobby, the dining room, other common areas like this really welcome residents and guests to the community and have the opportunity to show their own reflective spirit. If you have a more open lobby or front of house multi-purpose common space, try to provide a mix of furniture types so that residents and their guests have a choice in where to sit and can enjoy conversation areas while still being a part of the larger space. For example, if you have an event or an activity taking place, it could be nice to have a hands-on area close to the action, and then perhaps a slightly removed area so that residents can see what's going on, but aren't necessarily a part of the action if they don't want to be. Lighting is also an important factor in creating a hospitality-inspired environment. Adding decorative light fixtures can bring a really sculptural and artistic element to your ceiling, and layered lighting, so a mix of overhead fixtures, wall sconces, freestanding lamps. These all create a sense of warmth and allow for flexibility and light control throughout the day. Think about your materials, meaning flooring, wall finishes, and how they relate to the furniture within your space. Use flooring as a way to separate smaller outlets within the greater area. We talked about creating various zones and layers of furniture, and flooring is a great way to reinforce that. There are so many products on the market that allow for a seamless transition between hard surface flooring and carpet. So maybe you want to add a carpet inset that gives the appearance of an area rug around a particular lounge area and keep your hard surface flooring flooding the rest of the space. This photo really provides a great example of that. You have the seating area in the front with a beautiful inset carpet framing it out, these cafe tables along the right-hand side or the left-hand side here, and yet another seating area further back, defined again with a carpet inset. Or if you prefer to stay away from carpet altogether, you could achieve a similar defined flooring look with contrasting colorways of the same hard surface material. Or maybe you want to do a light and a darker wood tone, or a wood look and a stone look. Elements like this create depth, texture, interest. The space can be finished out with dressy items like these great mixed metal accent tables that provide needed durability while contributing to an upscale look. Or keep an eye out for the new senior living upholstery styles. Many new upholstered pieces feature a unique and more hospitality, elevated driven style. Some of those details include button tufting or contrast welts, nail heads, something fun like metal or acrylic legs. So getting started. Start by layering furniture groupings to create zones within larger spaces. Use materials that support and enhance your layouts. create a focal point, enhancing the architectural details you already have, or look for ways to incorporate new details. Add luxe textiles and interesting accessories to finish off the spaces and add your own unique style that reflects your own community and the residents that live there. Think about your front of house spaces, like the lobby, and start there. Trend number 2 is locally inspired design. A great way to make your community resonate with your residents and create a feeling of home is by incorporating local flair that speaks to the history of the region. Like I mentioned before, I think local design elements make communities so special. That reflection of who you are is so personal in our own residential environment. And I think we can all agree that that absolutely rings true in senior living. I also think a truly successful local design goes beyond incorporating a few artwork images here and there of local sites. It's more a reflection of the area that the building is in as represented throughout the entire building's details. So whether you're doing a smaller refresh project or a full-scale renovation or new construction, there are so many ways that you can capture a local essence and bring that heart into the building itself. A great place to start is by thinking about the natural landscape of the area, and then try to identify local building materials that are most often used or are sort of iconic of the area. Next, try to find architectural materials like flooring, tile, wall finishes that speak to those that you see in your surrounding community. Incorporate details of the region throughout the furniture, the textiles, a curated artwork package, and just the overall color palette. As we all know, I'm sure there are so many details that go within a space, and with those details lies an opportunity to really make them count. As an interior designer myself, I like to start with a photo that captures the essence of the local region or area. So similar to what you see in the upper right-hand corner, this is a photo of Milwaukee, which is Direct Supply's headquarters city. With this photo, I'm then able to identify the types of materials that are used in the vernacular architecture and identify real-world products that align to that. So you can see in the lower right-hand corner, this carpet tile has an organic concrete look. The tile in the center of the screen mimics Milwaukee's iconic Cream City brick. Colored accents like the paint and the textiles reference the beloved local sports team, and the furnishings and the light fixtures really reflect that more industrial nature of the city and contribute to the creation of a locally inspired atmosphere that goes beyond just the surface level. Once this foundation of materials and furnishings is established, it's really fun to come back in and find smaller accent pieces and accessories like these really great wall sculptures that are on the right-hand side that pay tribute to the city's detail. I also believe that artwork is one of the best opportunities to speak to the locality of the community. It's probably one of the easier ways to bring that local flair in. And if you do have the opportunity to update or upgrade your artwork, why not incorporate a few of these ideas? I think artwork has the most impact when it's combined with the principles that we discussed on the previous slide. But of course, you don't need to implement all of these ideas if your budget is a little bit more limited. In order to create a robust and rounded out artwork package, I'm always sure to incorporate a few unique types of artwork myself. The first being vintage black and white photos. These showcase the history of the area when the residents were most active in their community. They help spark memories. They bring a really fun vintage feel, and we can often recolor parts of these photos to reflect the colors of the space, which really can bring them to life. And pieces like these, you could mix them throughout spaces or arrange them in a more concentrated area to create a gallery installation. Local landmarks, like on the lower right-hand side of the screen. These are always a hit. They really help start conversations between staff, family, residents. And really, it seems like every install that I'm on, for the most part, staff seem to get the most excited about the local photography pieces and seem to always stop me when I'm on site working through the artwork placements to talk about the pieces. It's really fun to experience their excitement and to create a working environment that they love and that's really meaningful to them as well. Local photography and really locally inspired wall sculptures, like we talked about on the previous slide, that capture the essence of the area are great as supporting pieces. Pieces like these come in handy for some of the more remote locations that don't always have a lot of iconic landmarks to capture in the artwork. These don't need to necessarily be an exact location nearby for them to feel local. Again, it's about reinforcing the essence and bringing that heart into the building. And another great addition to an artwork package overall, and really my personal favorite, is to source reproductions of local or regional artists' work, which oftentimes we can include a small tag denoting that significance on the piece itself. And then the space really does feel like a gallery or like something you would have within your own home. A well-planned, curated artwork package featuring a mix of unique pieces adds a layer of detail to the building that goes a long way. And like I alluded to earlier, you could create a more focused installation within a specific destination space, or alternatively, you could have a mix of pieces. Let's say throughout a corridor, you have a local photograph followed by a local artist's piece, and then a painterly piece that shows the landscape. And you plan out a really nice cadence and rhythm of pieces that is curated and tailored for the experience of really walking down a corridor, for example, and enjoying the pieces in a sequence together. So getting started with a locally inspired design. Identify the attributes of your region that you want reflected within your community and select materials that reinforce the visual identity. Collect furnishings and accessories that speak to your city's history and detail. And lastly, incorporate curated art pieces and accessories that spark memories and start conversations. Trend number 3 is all about color. Color trends will always come and go. It's really most important to identify a color palette that will work for your individual spaces and enhance the atmosphere that you're looking to create based on your specific building and your specific spaces. Think about how you want this space to be used. What mood are you looking to create? Will color serve as a tool for wayfinding, or are you trying to highlight or complement an existing architectural feature within the space? Identifying these questions will make selecting your color palette and your color placements a lot easier. Bolder colors, for example, often work well as accents or in smaller specialty spaces like a salon, gyms, activity rooms, these spaces that you can push the limits a little more with your style and perhaps bring a little bit more energy. If you're unsure how long you'll want to commit to a particular color or color scheme, try painting an accent wall, incorporating accessories like throw pillows, or swap out some artwork to brighten it up. These items are a lot easier to switch up down the road, and they allow you to try something different in the moment, while also allowing you to keep up with a new and fresh look. Consider the purpose or the outcome of the room. For example, reds, oranges, yellows, warmer colors in general encourage appetites, and these colors could work well in a dining or a cafe space, while bright blue could energize a rehabilitation gym or an activity room. Soft yellows, soft greens work well in a relaxing sunroom. Maybe you have a spa that you want to have a natural and calming atmosphere with light blues and greens, or maybe it's a library that you want to bring in some darker, more masculine colors. There is a lot of research out there on color psychology. We really could do an entire webinar just on that topic alone. But in the meantime, pay attention to the way that you yourself react to color and the impact it has on your own mood. And use that as guidance for selecting your palette and selecting your color placements. So as you can see, I am in our design studio right now, one of our design studios. We have a bright orange wall, and it's such a vibrant color. It really brings a great energy into our design area. With that, we can jump into color forecasting. I know I said locally inspired design was one of my favorites, but I think the color forecasting in these color palettes are so much fun. They're really inspiring. I think they're very forward thinking. And we'll start out with Moody Medley. This is a retro inspired color scheme. Features these bright aquas complemented with saturated rusty tones, warm bronze accents. I think this would be so fun paired with mid-century inspired furniture frames. You could create a more retro cafe or a bistro with this palette. I think it's just so fun, so unique, and really uplifting. Willow Plank. Classic neutrals will never go out of style, and a great way to ensure interest in a neutral palette is to really amp up the contrast and saturation with a mix of darker and lighter tones and focus on incorporating a mix of textures like metallic elements or accents paired with something more natural. Really, you can have a strong visual identity even though the colors are more neutral. A natural geode in a raw wood frame with metallic nail heads, a stone look tile. This juxtaposition of textures is what brings a scheme like this to life and makes it really usable and stand out in application. Lakeshore Cottage. We have bright teals, really unexpected citrine color, and light luxe neutrals. I think this palette would look really fantastic with lighter wood tones, maybe some bold saturated artwork. Again, it is a little bit more retro inspired, but it definitely has a very modern direction. It's also a really versatile palette. I could see this looking great in so many regions, like a building in the Pacific Northwest or sunny Florida or anywhere on the East Coast. It really is so universal and really just classic, but still very fun. Dockside. This palette is a true classic in my opinion. I love that the colors are inspired by that of a peacock with the rich teals, the bright citrus greens, warm and cool neutrals. Pairing this with metallic elements like this fun mosaic tile in the upper left would definitely bring a little bit of glam. Or you could really take this in a more rustic direction by pairing it with distressed wood, rich faux leathers. Again, it's very versatile, and I think a palette like this is just, it's very classic, but there is a lot of color within it. Lastly is Creole Spice. This one I hope is waking you up. It's a revitalized mix of these classic tones that we've seen for so long, but in a totally new way. We have cobalt and teal, a more unexpected pairing together, but they work so well as complements with these ultra saturated brick and amber tones shown through really contemporary fabric patterns. This scheme in particular could be great if you're doing a small refresh in your building and maybe you have some existing traditional colors. You could certainly pair something like this, which is definitely a fresh take on those classic colors, and make your space feel totally new. So getting started with color. Start by identifying the tone or the experience you want your space to have and select colors that are reflective of that. Easy to switch out accent pieces provide a great opportunity to try new colors. And then think about the architectural features that you want to highlight and how color can help reinforce those. Trend number 4 is all about the dining experience and rethinking the use of the traditional dining room to create sort of a new dining experience that promotes choice, independence, flexibility. Consider incorporating more hospitality-inspired dining spaces that feature an array of seating options. You could have counter height bar area, banquette seating, cafe-style tables, all layered together in the same space. And having this mix allows the area to be used between dining services. So residents can choose their preferred type of dining experience, and really it more easily accommodates families and visitors. Electronic ordering, like shown in this photo, really promotes independence. It allows residents to order themselves from their own tables. Advertising and menus could be showcased through digital signage as well. These are very tech-forward ideas that also contribute to that hospitality environment and atmosphere that we've been talking about. The dining room also doesn't have to be reserved for dining only. Creating a more restaurant, cafe, or multi-purpose type space allows it to be utilized for other events throughout the entire day. You can really take advantage of your square footage and maximize the built environment that you have. Consider using a family of chairs in coordinating fabrics to offer residents that choice of seating based on their personal mobility level. This type of layered furniture also leads to a more visually interesting space, and you avoid a sea of the same tables and chairs that may not present quite as well. Really, I personally have been having this conversation more and more with the clients that I work with. So many older buildings don't necessarily have a lot of built-in common space, but they do have these really large, expansive dining rooms. And oftentimes we will layer collections and types of furniture so that the space isn't being confined to dining only. It helps break things up and encourage residents to enjoy the room all day long. You can set the stage for all day engagement with these dynamic destinations. Like I said, maximize your square footage with built-in flexibility. This bistro space was actually designed to be used as a coffee shop. By closing the cabinet doors over the TV, you expose cafe-inspired accessories in the morning. And then when it's time for happy hour in the evening, the doors can be opened, as shown in the photo, to expose those supporting happy hour bar accessories. The grab and go area on the right can be stocked according to the time of day, promoting independence. The integrated TV allows for an adaptable menu display, which is easy to manipulate based on the event and elevates the overall atmosphere. Action stations and cooking demonstrations are becoming increasingly popular as a way to create a sense of excitement. Depending on budget and square footage, you could choose to build in a focal action station that can accommodate a variety of serving needs and demonstrations while being a more permanent feature within the space. Just like you're seeing in this photo, this is a great example of that. It really makes a statement to your residents and prospective residents that you value that elevated dining experience and you promote engagement. Alternatively, you could opt for a mobile convertible furnishing piece that can be used for demo, preparing food during meal times, or even rolled outside to support outdoor mealtime events. It's also a great way for the staff that enjoy being front of house and displaying their culinary skills to engage with residents and gives them a great purpose and satisfaction within their role, which is also something very profound that we're going to talk about staff in just a minute, but it's a simple way to get like a win-win out of the situation. Cafe spaces like this, featuring marketplace merchandisers and small appliances, allow for the preparation of light entrees for breakfast and lunch in an alternative dining venue. And they promote independence by allowing residents to purchase market items without being totally reliant on their family members. Nice amenity spaces like this promote a concierge style, fitting into that more hospitality-based environment. If you have the space, these are great satellite dining venues that can also be used throughout the day as additional common space for residents to enjoy. So, getting started. Electronic menu displays help enhance the dining experience. Providing options for various types of seating gives residents choice and allows the space to be utilized outside of the traditional dining services, promoting independence and hospitality type environment through the use of grab and go merchandisers. Grab and go merchandisers have also been something that we're seeing more and more of. Clients are wanting to implement these ideas, and the grab and go looks really great. It contributes to a more fast-paced hospitality type environment. And lastly, use cooking demonstrations and action stations as a way to create excitement and interaction between staff and residents. Trend number 5, designing for staff and ensuring that staff is also being supported. Allowing everyone to access the wellness equipment like fitness centers and gyms is a great way to support a community-wide sense of wellness. Wellness is certainly front of mind for many people, and it's been a recurring theme discussed by design professionals for the last several years. If you are fortunate enough to have the space for a fitness center or gym, extending that invitation for staff use is a pretty simple task. Oftentimes, these are built in. You're encouraging residents to have that healthy, wellness-focused lifestyle, and it's so critically important to extend that to your staff and also encourage that within their lives. You can promote retention and appreciation by opening up other amenity spaces as well. Encourage the staff's utilization of the built environments. Another great way to do this is by offering low-cost meals to staff from cafe and bistro areas. Really promote their engagement with residents by creating spaces that are easy for them to use. And what were once perks used to stand out from the crowd have really become these essential tools of engagement and so vital to recruitment. Another way to design with staff in mind is to consider the usability of the furnishings and how staff interact with them. If a space is going to be reconfigured often, it would be a good idea to have easy to stack chairs, mobile nesting tables with flip tops and casters that are easy to engage, or something simple like chair glides that make the chair itself easy and quick to move around. So if one staff member can reconfigure a space, they can do it very quickly and very easily. This allows them to get back to caring for and engaging with residents, which, as we know, is the most critical part of their role. Updating a break room with comfortable furnishings and bright, cheerful colors is a great way for staff to enjoy their breaks and truly have a place that they can call their own so that they can return to work and their role feeling energized and inspired. Getting started. Extend the use of amenity spaces like fitness centers, gyms, spas, and even cafes to the staff to promote their wellness and well-being. Choose furnishings that are easy to use. And lastly, create a refreshing and energizing break area that allows staff to recharge. Trend number 6, how to create tech-forward spaces. And with this, I'm going to turn it over to James.
Great. Thank you, Heather. I appreciate it. Technology can and does enhance the wow factor you're going for to create a first and really lasting impression in senior living communities. Senior living communities are really a tech-rich environment, and they'll continue to be so as residents and potential residents, as well as their families and staff, continue to come in with more connected devices and feel the need to stay connected. So we will talk about some of the trends that we are seeing here today. And Heather, if you want to go to the next slide. Some things that you can do for tech forward spaces. First and foremost, I would say make sure that you're taking a look at your Wi-Fi coverage and you understand the needs of families, of residents and staff as they come in, because they're going to come in with a lot of connected devices, and you need to make sure that your Wi-Fi coverage is sufficient to be able to handle that. Not only coverage and making sure that there's no gaps in your Wi-Fi signal, but also to make sure that you have the right bandwidth and that you have enough connectivity to enable all of those devices to communicate. So we want to make sure that technology stays connected and that people can really feel like they're stepping into a tech-forward, tech-rich environment. And a lot of times that means staying connected and having good Wi-Fi signal strength. Another trend we're seeing is people going big and going digital. And what I mean by that is in resident rooms, TV spaces, TV areas, and things like that, going from a 32-inch TV, maybe up to a 43-inch TV, really creating a wow factor with TVs and technology in a resident room is going to be important. We are seeing people move to larger format TVs. They're easier to see, and a lot of people now are streaming content, right? So it's important to be able to give them, residents, a platform to be able to do that, see large images, have good sound, and those types of things. As Heather talked about a little bit earlier, in some of the dining spaces and elsewise, going digital is putting in digital signage and things of those nature, where you can go from maybe paper or print type of experiences today to something that's more digital, to add a wow factor and make an impression through digital technology. So digital signage in a front lobby area, at a bar area or a restaurant is a good idea. And we are seeing more and more of that become a reality and really add more impact and also make it very easy for staff to use. It's simple now to be able to go into some software and make a few clicks and make adjustments, and really you can do that from anywhere you are. So not only does it make a good impression, but it's easy to use, and it can be changed and updated from anywhere. Another thing you can do to go digital is to look at digital artwork and maybe digital memory boxes. Those are some things that we're seeing quite a bit of, and really trying to bring tech more into the foreground and do things like scrolling pictures, things in memory care areas where you need memory care boxes outside of rooms, and going from current state into something more digital. And can you add pictures and have family, add those photos in that help mom and dad remember, hey, this is my room, something like that. We've also had a lot of request and interest in digital artwork. Can a photo frame, digital photo frame, do some of that, or could you have a large format TV in perhaps a lobby area that would serve as your artwork, and you can change that out monthly or quarterly, annually, whatever you would prefer. But again, going digital and adding some more dramatic and wow impact to your community is another trend that we're seeing. And then lastly, here in tech forward spaces, as you're doing design, making sure that you understand people are coming in with more connected devices, equipment that has, or furniture rather, that has power connections or USB connections is a good idea, as people need to power up devices that they're bringing to stay connected. That's going to be very important. Understanding where furniture is going by room is also important as well. You want to be able to give people access. Maybe in a theater space, you want people to have access to chairs and be able to get it out easy, but also make sure that you're designing so they can see the screens, that they can hear everything appropriately. Especially in theater rooms, large format TVs now are oftentimes replacing projectors. You get a nice, good, crisp, clean image as the price point on those types of TVs come down. And also including things like hearing loops and assisted hearing devices, just to help with sound amplification, let people be able to hear and see clearly what's going on. The last part in theater rooms would be avoiding surround sound. A lot of people think it's a good idea to put surround sound into a theater room, but actually it makes it harder for seniors to hear. So it's good to have good solid sound in those spaces. But you want to make sure you're avoiding sounds coming from multiple directions. It's better to have it very monotone in terms of sound coming from 5 or 6 different sources. Also, take a look at outdoor spaces as well. Here we can talk about distributed audio systems that would play music maybe out onto patio areas. If you're utilizing patios or outdoor spaces, it can be a really fun place to put some nice technology just to create a nice environment. Outdoor movie projectors and screens, sound equipment and the like is something we're seeing more and more people interested in wanting to do. Some of that can be fixed, some of that can be portable, but those are options as well. So also consider your outdoor space when you're designing there. And also make sure that you understand in these spaces, as you're doing some of the things that Heather had talked about and really adding a wow factor through nice design, make sure you're understanding the technology design and intent of the spaces throughout the community, both indoor and outdoor. And what I mean by that, I'll give you an example. We had a project where we put in a really nice audio-visual system and had a projector and a screen, and it was drop down, automated from the ceiling. Unfortunately, we didn't take into account the lighting, and there was a light hanging down between a projector and a screen. So that would be one of those types of things to look out for, and make sure the technology plan really marries with the design plan of what you're trying to do. So those would be some ideas for tech forward spaces that you consider as you enhance design, and we really try to make senior living communities really tech forward and tech rich environments. All right, so getting started. Really try to understand and make sure you know who's coming into communities and what their technology experience is going to be. It's not universal across the US, but we're seeing more and more people coming in and having high demands of technology, especially connectivity, right? People want to stay connected. They want to be able to stream movies and those types of things. Residents and their families really live an on-demand life, as we all do. And especially in today's era, everyone's understanding the importance of having good Wi-Fi and good connectivity. So we want to make sure that that's understood. Make sure that you are taking a look at your network, you're understanding Wi-Fi requirements, those types of things, and talk to a technology designer or the teams that are involved in Wi-Fi and network planning, as well as other equipment that might be going in on a tech side. to see the design intent and make sure you're coordinating your design plan with their technology design plan, so you avoid missteps and you can plan ahead for how technology needs to interplay with some of the higher end designs that are going in. And then lastly, consider digital options when they're available, right? Going to digital signage to maximize impact, to make it easier for staff to change menus, things like that. Is it possible to go digital with artwork? Those are things to take a look at, consider, and perhaps add to your design. And then in resident rooms, again, the trend on electronics, not only making sure things are connected, but going larger on TVs, so people have a better viewing experience. A lot of times making sure those TVs are smart TVs, because people are going to start streaming services more and more. It's already happening, and we want to make sure that the technology that is in those rooms really enables the way people live today with on-demand streaming services. So those would be some good points to consider when getting started.
Great. Thank you, James. That wraps up our trend discussion, and I will turn it over to Megan to lead us through a lot of the questions that came in.
Yes, so first of all, thank you both. That was an awesome and super informative presentation. I took some notes for some decorating for my own life, so thank you. We do have some questions that came through while you were talking. I think, Heather, this one might apply to you. How do you see the design and hospitality trends changing with respect to COVID and appropriate social distancing?
Sure, that is obviously a question that I think is very front of mind for many of us designers and building operators, really everyone involved in senior living. And I think that concierge style that we talked about, creating a more hospitality environment that's driven by smaller satellite spaces. So some of the imagery, like those smaller cafes or the bistro areas, including some of those throughout your building, would give you the ability to create these smaller dining venues with less people, so that you don't have to try to manage the social distancing in a larger dining type room. And overall, just internally, we've really been focusing on that concierge style. So making the environment feel a little bit higher end. Maybe it's room delivery service or something like that. It's a high-end amenity, but it allows for more distance between people and less contact between the residents and their built environments. I also think another great principle, just on the topic of allowing your staff to access amenity spaces, maybe they can get some of their meals from your cafes or your bistros, so that they are being taken care of a little bit more at work. And with the stress of caring for residents during a pandemic, that alleviates some stress that they have in their lives to take care of themselves and find their groceries or their meals. If that's something that they can handle internally in the building, then I think it makes the working environment so much easier for everyone.
I love it. That's great. So on that same vein, we had a question come through that asked, do we have any recommendations to include protection screens or on the use of isolation booths or structures to kind of safely allow visitation during COVID? Social distancing is in practice for all activities and dining. So how are we getting families connected?
Yeah, that's a really great question too. Just on the topic of screens or dividers, since I know that came up, there are plenty on the market. There are decorative partitions that really can be integrated within the design and make it feel like a more planned structure that maybe it's mobile, it's dismountable, maybe it becomes something that you have in your feature, just smaller outlets within a bigger space, which of course we were talking about. And just on the topic of staying connected and promoting socialization with family members that maybe can't come into the building. James, you may want to take over for this one, but I think technology is our friend, and there are so many tools on the market that can help keep everyone connected from a technology standpoint, and just planning for technology in your building on the forefront can really make it easier if something like this were to come up down the road.
Yeah, I would add to that. We have seen a lot of interest and request in that social connected type of technology, whether it's an app on a tablet, FaceTime, or other types of technology that allows residents and family members to stay connected at a distance. It's really important and critical to be able to keep people connected, keep their spirits up, and allow family members to connect. So yeah, absolutely, that type of technology is available. It may be things that family or residents have or will bring into the community. There's also opportunity for communities to be able to provide that as well. Again, to kind of echo what I talked about earlier, it is really important to make sure too that you have the right kind of Wi-Fi and network connectivity coverage to enable those types of things to happen. I think right now we're seeing some communities understand that there maybe are gaps in their connectivity, or they don't have the bandwidth to really partition that type of social engagement and social use of network versus maybe building purpose network. So it's important to consider those types of things and make sure that you're planning for that in the really technology design of your building, initially and ongoing, and also understanding what is an upgrade path. How easy is it to make a change, or call an audible if you need to, if something has happened, to be able to allow whatever's next.
Awesome. So, James, will you take the lead on this one? We had a question come through asking, why is it that a surround sound system may be harder for seniors to hear?
Yep, so surround sound systems a lot of times divide the sound, so it actually comes from multiple sources. So if you have I'm sitting here in my basement, the importance of connectivity, right? But multiple speakers around the room. And with surround sound, you get different sounds coming from different speakers. And that's great for us. It's a very immersive experience. But if a senior's listening to that and trying to have the same listening experience, having different sounds come from different areas or different speakers, and not getting the full sound of everything that's coming through on all channels, can make it hard to hear, and they may miss part of the action or miss some of the audio experience. So it's been our experience that it's better to have still the same kind of speaker coverage, but to have all sound come from all speakers rather than dividing up the sound to different channels. That tends to chop up the sound for seniors, and they're just not able to hear everything that's going on coming through the audio sources.
Interesting. Good to know. Heather, I think maybe you mentioned the use of area rugs in some designs. We had a couple questions roll in on how you can safely use area rugs within senior living facilities.
Sure, that is a good question. And really, I should clarify, it's not necessarily an area rug as it is a transition between carpet and a hard surface flooring. And there are a lot of products. Obviously, carpet has a little bit of a width to it, and they're starting to make more and more LVP, luxury vinyl plank, or luxury vinyl tile that has a thicker width that's actually the same height as carpet, like a carpet tile or broadloom, so that really, I'll use my hands here, they are totally flush. You're avoiding that thicker rubber transition strip that I think a lot of us have seen over the years. And you're doing something really slim profile so that you can't even feel the transition between carpet and the hard surface. And then you get the look of an area rug. So it's not necessarily a rug, it's more of just the appearance of one. And those are really handy to break up your flooring. If you have a really large room, it's nice to define different areas. If you have soft seating within your lobby space, maybe you want to do that carpet inset into the hard surface flooring around that furniture grouping so that it feels a little bit warmer and has some more texture in that particular area, but then you can keep a different type of flooring elsewhere. I hope that answers it. Yeah, it's a pretty confusing topic, but yeah, not area rugs, but flush flooring inset into another type of flooring.
Awesome. Now, there was a question that rolled in. Are there any specific colors or color palettes that you would actively try to avoid within senior living design?
That is, I feel like I'm saying that for all of these questions. That's a really interesting topic. I wouldn't necessarily say that. I think design is so personal, it's so subjective to your individual building. You really have to know your resident population and know what's going to work for them. That being said, a lot of clients tend to avoid darker colors in certain areas. So you may want to avoid some sort of flooring pattern that is too high contrast because it could give off the illusion of a step or something on the floor that residents then try to avoid when they're walking. Same thing with chair seats. You may want to avoid a darker color on a seat, like something super black so that it looks like a hole if your resident population has a little bit of visual impairment around those things. As far as colors go, like bright colors, I think you really need to know your building. If you want a really lively, exciting community or space, maybe go with some brighter colors. If you want something that is more calm and subdued, maybe go with something a little bit less vibrant in color. Um, it really does. I wouldn't say that there's a right or wrong answer with color. You just have to know your population. There are a lot of tips and tricks on just preparing for those who may have some visual impairment and selecting colors that will work for them.
Awesome. I think there's just two more here. James, this one came in, and I think you would probably be my expert to discuss it. What would you recommend for the most budget-friendly areas of technology to focus on or improve upon?
Yeah, I would say it really depends on what you're trying to make a big impact with. So um, I wholeheartedly believe the biggest and best area to make investment in is going to be your Wi-Fi and your network, just because it's the backbone by which most other technology in your building is going to need to connect. So making sure that you have good coverage, you don't have any dead spots, and then also making sure you have strong bandwidth that can handle both business and social or resident needs is going to be really important. Then too, I think it really comes down to weighing, what is the area that you feel you need to improve the most? Is it connectivity for your residents, or is it maybe some common area spaces that could really use an upgrade on like AV theater systems or something else that would maximize impact? Or is it staff? Is your staff struggling maybe with alarm fatigue and getting too many alerts from different systems that you have throughout your building? Really understanding kind of what the biggest struggles are, I think, is important to determine, and then from there you can tackle it with the right kind of technology, whether it's consolidating alarms into a single app type platform, or enhancing an experience for a senior by adding some of the latest and greatest in tech that's out there. But if you don't have a good pulse on that, or it's going to take some time to gather that, it's never a bad idea to start looking at your Wi-Fi and connectivity, just because it enables so much of the other stuff to happen.
Awesome. And last but not least, Heather, can you speak to if there are any sort of resources out there to find local artists in any given area? Or how does one start that if you're not from the area?
Sure. So the way that we actually work through sourcing that type of local piece is just with the artwork vendors that we work with. So we're not necessarily going out and finding local artists' pieces, like original artwork. We actually work with a number of artwork vendors that have contracts with hundreds of artists throughout the country, and they have licensing to print reproductions of their pieces. So it, of course, is very dependent on your location. Some of the more remote areas, it's harder for us to source those pieces. More metropolitan areas, there's often a lot to choose from, but that is something that myself and the team of designers that I work on, we do that sort of thing all day, every day. We have really great artwork partners that we work with that spend their days looking for pieces like that.
Awesome. So thank you for all of the great questions, and a big thank you to James and Heather for all your expertise today. For anyone interested in learning about how direct supply can help you navigate these new technologies and products, please help me welcome JD Endl, our dedicated product consultant.
Thank you, Megan. Hello, everyone. Direct Supply offers a portfolio of over 200 manufacturers that we vet out to make sure that they're appropriate for senior living environments. Included within our portfolio is a brand called Maxwell Thomas, which is our own proprietary brand of senior-specific furniture. We have taken our 35 years of experience in the industry, hearing what's working, what's not holding up, what's missing, and we use that feedback to build out our product portfolio. In the following slides, I will highlight some of the products that were featured in the trends that both Heather and James spoke of during the presentation. Maxwell Thomas is included in the slides, as well as some other brands, and they're featured to give you just a taste of what Direct Supply can offer to bring these trends into your buildings. In this slide, we have the hospitality-inspired environment, which incorporates a variety of seating arrangements, as well as mixed materials within those arrangements. We have wood and metal seating, laminate tabletops with metal bases, and a mixture of fabrics. The first two items are from Maxwell Thomas. We have our Geneva chair, which is made of an aluminum frame with a wood-looking finish. This gives you the warm appearance of it looking like wood, but the durability of a metal frame. These chairs do stack 5 high, which gives you some flexibility in the space, and have the option of casters on the front legs if you want to give your residents a little bit more mobility. As James had mentioned, technology is really important within these environments, and we're seeing a lot more technology integrated into the furniture as we have shown here on the Enfield banquette. The residents can now charge their phones or their tablets while they're enjoying their meal. Not only do the residents like having easy access to the outlets, but it's also a good tool for marketing to the adult children. And lastly, we have the Holsag Toledo chair, which offers a mid-century modern design, which we're seeing more and more of pop up into these environments. As shown in this picture, banquettes can be incredibly versatile. This is the exact same Maxwell Thomas Enfield banquette that we just saw in the last slide for dining that we have now shown in a lounge setting, and still incorporating the technology piece. Here they're upholstered in a vinyl to maintain the durability and keep it easy to clean for the staff, but also to give the appearance of leather. The Maxwell Thomas Arietta lounge chair brings in a mid-century modern design to the space, while being upholstered in a mixture of performance fabrics as well as vinyl for that more rustic feel. The picture does not do this chair justice. It has a really unique base that you can only see from the back, so it's ideal in a setting like what we have pictured here, where you could be walking in from, say, by the piano, and the chair still looks interesting even from the back, regardless of what type of bold fabric or simple fabric you put on the chair. And it's one of the most comfortable chairs we have. I would say it's in my top 3 favorite chairs from a comfortability standpoint. And we also have a large variety of accent tables that are available to find one that suits your local flair. So in this example, with that more rustic feel, we have the Fairfield Tribeca table, which brings in more mixed materials. You have 2 different metals, and you also have wood on the top. I mentioned earlier that Direct Supply has access to over 200 furniture manufacturers, and we also have access to thousands of fabrics. This gives you that unique ability to create your own space. The same chair, we have the Maxwell Thomas Geneva here again, which we had in the first slide, but this time we have it in bright florals from JF Fabrics. Gives the chair a completely different look. We also have it paired with the Maxwell Thomas Brevard banquette, which is shown in Kravitz black and white plaid fabric. You can pair these with solid, textured, or even patterned vinyls that give you that extreme durability where you need it most, like we have on the seats in these pictures. And then you can complete the room with accent pieces like the Maxwell Thomas Rapasto bookcase that we have in the background there. Not only does the piece itself bring more of a residential feel to the space, but it also gives you the ability to bring in more accessories, which is a love-hate when you have to do more accessories in a space, but it really does help make the room feel complete. On the very first slide, I talked about a metal chair that looks like wood, and in this cafe, the H contract fin chair is made of wood with a finish color to make it look like metal. So this is great for the time where you want the appearance of metal, but you don't want it to feel cold when the residents are relaxing and have their arms on the armrest. The high back of this chair helps provide additional support and comfort for the residents while they spend more time in the chair socializing. The Zara stools in the back at the counter have a unique back that act as an arm to help with the egress for residents. The stool comes in both counter and bar height, and it also has a matching dining chair. The metal frame on the Maxwell Thomas Castine lounge chair gives you more of a modern aesthetic of metal, but it's fully upholstered for resident comfort. And similar to the last couple of rooms, we finish off the look with accent tables to make the space feel a little bit more homey. Say goodbye to boring staff lounges. This one is so much fun. The Kellex Manny chair is perfect for staff lounges. It's durable and comfortable, but not too comfortable. You don't want them sitting for too long and falling asleep. But it has a wood back, and it also, as we have it shown here, has vinyl on the seat, which makes it super easy to clean. That's one of the biggest frustrations I hear about operators about their staff lounge is keeping them clean. The chair is also available as a stool. Speaking of stools, the Maxwell Thomas Galveston in the background is a faux wood metal stool. It's available in both counter and bar height. What's unique about this style is that it also not only has a standard height dining chair, but it also has a bariatric version. So if you need to accommodate wider or larger residents, you now can have the same style of chair without having to compromise the dignity of that resident or the aesthetic of the room. Again, the chairs themselves, the standard dining chair does stack, and it can accommodate wheels on the front as well. But these are great for high acuity dining rooms being made of metal. And the tall wingback chairs like the Orsay, they're great for creating more of a private seating area. So whether it's in a staff lounge like we have pictured here or in a resident area, if somebody's on a phone call or they're relaxing with a book, the wings on the chair help block out what's going on in other parts of the room, making it feel a little bit more private. And then the last thing in this space I want to point out are the ottomans. Those are a great addition for not only what they're typically used for being a footrest, but also for additional seating. I've seen these used a lot where they're in family spaces, where there are kids, family members that are coming into the space, because they also can provide additional seating. Just want to throw out the warning though, be careful where you put them. We certainly don't want to cause any potential falls with residents and making them a trip hazard. The Maxwell Thomas Zaragoza chair is very popular. It has wood detailing not only around the top and the arms, but also around the back and the sides. So again, it's perfect in a setting like this where it's floating in the middle of the room. It's aesthetically pleasing from all angles. And it's a really nice transitional style that can flex in the space depending on the fabric that you put on it. The Kellex Maggie sofa, which is also available in a love seat and lounge chair, has very clean transitional lines, so again can adapt to any type of style that you're putting in a space. The back is actually semi-attached, so it gives the appearance of loose cushions, but they're actually sewn on for low maintenance. And the toss pillows are a great way to bring in a pop of color and pattern with very little investment. And if you don't have to worry about wheelchairs, a center cocktail table like the Fairfield Highland Ringe we have featured here makes a great centerpiece for the seating area. It's paired with other accent tables to provide lighting, beverages, magazines, and then, just be mindful of where you're putting a cocktail table. If you do have wheelchairs or walkers, they can sometimes provide, or they are more of a hindrance and prevent the residents from getting to the seating. So now I will turn it back over to James to talk about our technology design services.
Great, thanks, JD. We do have some design services that are available as well. So as you're looking to either build a new building or renovate the building and you need some help with technology design, Direct Supply is able to help with that. We have a full technology design team with designers that can help with anything from conceptual design all the way to getting designs into plans. If you're talking new construction, that's very important to make sure all of your technology is coordinated with this other disciplines in the new construction process. And we have a design service available to you for that. What we're launching here later this summer, very soon, is what we call Tech Design Lite. So it's a lighter offering of our full new construction design service. What it does is it really kind of targets those that might be in the new construction process but don't have technology design plans together. It's not a consolidated technology plan, and we're already a little bit too late to the party to be able to get in at the beginning and have some of those tech conversations at the front end of the project. Or for people who are in renovation projects or on a budget that might not be able to afford the full tech design offering, the Tech Design Lite offering would be good for you. So what does it include? It includes technology consultation with some of our tech designers and tech consultants, as well as the scope of work narrative, meaning how the technology is supposed to work. And what the technology you're going to plan to put in your building needs to achieve for you, including system integrations, which is a really important element there. We can help with system design budget estimates. So if you need to know how much systems cost, or you need budgetary placeholders to know how much money you need to ask for or plan for in your technology plan, we can do that, as well as show you system demonstrations. Some of the systems that we support at Direct Supply we have available at our showroom or at our Innovation and Technology Center in downtown Milwaukee. A lot of times we can do virtual demonstrations as well, but it's always nice to be able to see the technology before you make a decision, and you're able to do that at Direct Supply. We'll provide basic design documentation, sketches of technology, as well as floor plan markups, so you and other disciplines will know where the technology is going, especially coordinating with electricians and others that might need to run power or network connectivity. And then for all of that, you are able to procure systems through Direct Supply, and we also manage the implementation of those systems. So not only can we help with the design and the creation of the scope of how all the tech needs to work for you, but we can fulfill on the systems and the implementation to make sure how the systems are designed and intended to go in actually happens at the end of the project. When I talk about technology, to boil that down, we're talking about structured cabling. So that would be all of the cable in your building, your category cable, your fiber optic cable, whatever you may be using. Fiber optic is something that's becoming more and more popular in senior living to allow for faster connection speeds. So we can do all of the structured cabling design, all of the Wi-Fi and networking, nurse call, wander management, access control, which would be your badges or fobs, video surveillance or security cameras, wireless locks, hotel style locks that might go on resident room doors. We do that as well. And then the AV theater that we talked about throughout the presentation. The other piece I would add in there, and this is new to Direct Supply as of a couple of months ago, but has been a very fast mover, is thermal temp scanners. Scanning temperature of visitors and staff when they're coming into a community, and keeping a database of those temperatures for any kind of contact tracing that might need to happen, or automating the temperature taking process. We do have some options there available for you as well. So our Technology Design Lite offering will be available very soon here. I believe in August is what we're looking at. We do have a big brother to that does a bit more in terms of submittals and deeper design elements, but this is here to really help you make sure that your technology is well thought out in new construction and renovation projects, and then the plans are put together the right way for you. So if you're interested, please feel free to contact us.
We'd like to send our thanks to everybody who took the time to join us. If you have any further questions about items that were discussed, you can feel free to email us at webinars@directsupply.com.